Hey Daily Dosers, it's Kristen from the Fallbrook campus, and I don't know if you remember, but I had mentioned on a few Daily Doses ago that I actually love to work. In fact, I have never had a job I didn't like, but I did have a couple bosses I didn't totally care for. Not currently. I love my boss right now, love working at North Coast, spread the word. But when I was 15, I got my very first job at Wetzel's Pretzels, and I loved my job. And I was on the closing shift one night and I got floors. So I had to mop the floor to close up the shop. And how you would do the floors is you would drag these big rubber mats outside, then you would mop the floor, let it dry, then you'd have to drag the mats back in, you'd have to rehook them together. And if you were really extra like I was, you would mop over the mats to get them extra clean. And of course, that's what I did. So one night I finished the floor. It is perfect, it's pristine. I go in the back to dump the mop water, and when I come back into the bakery part of the store, like my heart stopped and I was like frozen in disbelief because my boss had climbed up on a ladder and was cleaning a ceiling vent with these huge clumps of gray dust just falling to the floor all over the place. And I freaked out and I said, "Mark, I just cleaned the floor." And he kind of just shrugged and he was like, "Well, it had to get done." And I was like, "I'm going to explode." And he just kept doing it. And to say I lost a little respect for him that day would be a true statement. And I'm sure I'm not alone in having a moment at work where something happens and your boss just either undervalues you, underappreciates you, disrespects you. And even if you're not officially employed, maybe you're a student who's working really hard toward grades and was treated unfairly by a teacher or a grading system, or maybe you're a stay-at-home parent and don't feel totally appreciated by your clients, these children, all the time. Or maybe your work is overlooked by a spouse and you feel invisible. Where does the work ethic of a Christian come from? Because if it comes from a clueless boss that's climbing on a ladder, ruining our floors, or people who don't appreciate the things we do for them on a daily basis, we're going to be in a perpetual state of frustration. And one verse that has been used by the Holy Spirit in my life over and over and over again is Colossians 3:23 through 24. And it says this: "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward." It is the Lord Christ you are serving. And the Holy Spirit has used these words in my life over and over and over again when I've had a moment of frustration of feeling undervalued or underappreciated, to remember who I ultimately work for, that my work is not in vain. And what this does for me is it lets the people in my life off the hook, because the truth is, no matter how great of a boss we have, or how great of a spouse we have, or children, or teachers, or coaches, or whatever it might be, they're never going to fully appreciate us all the time. They're never going to fully see us all the time in our efforts, and it's always going to come up lacking. But when we realize who we're actually doing this work for, the big boss who gives big reward according to the Bible, it changes our perspective. And on the flip side, it kind of puts the onus on us a little bit to not be the kind of people who are, the clock watchers, trying to get by with doing as little as possible, or maybe only working when we're being watched, and, trying to cheat the system a little bit. When we put it in perspective of this passage, who are we ultimately cheating if we're not working with all of our heart? And so my perspective on work has changed a lot over the years to realize, who am I working for? And as Chris Brown says, we work for the applause of nail-scarred hands to hear one day, "Well done, good and faithful servant." And no work is done in vain if it's done for the applause of heaven. And if this is getting you kind of fired up and wanting to serve, as a church, we're doing an incredible weekend of service called Serve Your City on May 3rd and 4th. You can sign up at northcoastchurch.com, and we hope to see you out there.
Thanks for joining us for this Daily Dose. We would love to be able to hear other topics you would like us to cover. Put them in the comments below. And remember, like and subscribe.